It's the GITA Interviews, the premier global IT solution podcast, where we talk to the CEOs and business leaders who are growing their companies through global partnerships. I'm your host, Emery Geosits, the Executive Director of the Global IT Alliance. I'm pleased to have joining me today for our GITA podcast, James Napp. James is the Managing Director of Bechtle UK. He's joining me today from Chippenham, England. James is also the liaison executive from Bechtle to the Global IT Alliance. And most importantly, James is the co-founder of the Global IT Alliance. I had the pleasure in 2013 of forming this great organization with James, and I'm happy he's my guest today. James, how are you?
Emery, great to see you. Lovely to see you.
Good to see you as well. Well, let's get right into it. You know, we're coming off 2020, a crazy year, COVID and everything else. Talk to me a little bit about how your business survived during COVID.
Sure. Well, you know, when the pandemic hit, same as everybody, really, we were hit by the same wave of craziness that everybody else was, and we said, well, I guess firstly, fortunately, we're in IT, so we were well set up to deal with it. We've had Agile working in place across the Bechtle Group for quite a while now, so we were able to just pretty much pick up our laptops and send everybody home, and we carried on. So from that perspective, I mean, I wouldn't have liked to be in a position where we didn't have that in place. So I feel for a lot of those businesses, and obviously we helped quite a lot of those businesses out with that situation as well. And I think also, we're very fortunate to be in the tech space as well, because everybody needed, at that point, everybody needed us, and we were in a really good place to be able to help out. So, we said, the first thing which we wanted to do was look after the people, make sure everybody was okay. So we did a huge amount around, making sure that the communication lines were set up, and we have a mix of WebEx and Teams, and everybody shifted pretty quickly, to the best platform. So again, we in terms of collaboration, early morning meetings, evening meetings, just looking after people and putting on events and that kind of thing. So we did what we could there, and I think that was the first thing which was the priority for us. And after that, then it was just a case of saying, do you know what, we're going to use this time well, and the priority for us was to come out stronger. And we said, from day one, this is what we want to do. We're going to, however long this takes. We were told initially by Boris in the UK, at least 2 to 3 weeks, everything's going to be
right.
And and obviously, we didn't know how long it was going to go, but we said, whatever happens, we're going to come out stronger. And we continued to recruit through the year across the group.
Yeah.
We had some really great support from everybody, and I think we've been really fortunate to have such a magnificent team in what have been very tough circumstances clearly for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're sitting here in March of 2021, and are you going back to the office? Is there a plan to? What's going to happen for the rest of 2021 for you guys?
Yeah, so it differs across. Obviously, we're in 14 countries across Europe, so it's a different situation in every country, and we're handling it the right way in each country. So, for example, we've seen different waves. So in the UK, we've been quite fortunate recently in terms of vaccine rollouts going very well, and we're in a good place in that sense. But Europe's having again a tougher time of it. So in Germany, France, things are getting worse again. So we're moving and mixing as we see right. And I think the majority of the companies are working majority from home at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a hybrid mix, really. I think where people need to be in the office from a wellness perspective, or just to get a change of scene where it's allowed in the countries, then that's what we're doing. But we're working very well, and the business is running very, very well with the setup that we've got. So
that's great. Yeah, I saw Bechtle just announced a really stellar year in 2020, despite everything else going on. If you look at in the beginning of 2020, I'm sure you had a significant strategy going in, as most companies did, significant strategic projects and offers and things like that. And everything seemed to get thrown out the window because people needed the laptops, people needed the equipment, which you guys are great at. So how do you see business strategy now post-pandemic happening, at least for 2021? Are there things that you implemented in 2020 that you see carrying in, and what are you looking at from that perspective?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I think what we said in terms of we wanted to use that time well. We used the time extremely well in terms of enhancing the strategic offerings which we've been putting together over the last couple of years, and that's certainly going to be a theme as we go through the rest of 2021 and beyond, really. So, we've been working as a group on some central solutions. So, for example, we have a very unique DaaS, device as a service proposition, which is actually it's a full device lifecycle management, which is managed centrally, and it incorporates all of the aspects of managing the device in life. And we've seen some great take up with that already in several countries. So that's certainly the way we see the market moving to the as a service model, and we feel that we're a step ahead in that sense. And other areas that we've been putting a lot of work into, things like our modern meeting solutions. So people will need a hybrid environment, I think, for the most part when we go back, and they will need a kind of change up in the way that they're managing their meeting rooms to make them capable of having that kind of hybrid approach. And we've been putting a lot of work into those kind of solutions and lots of different solutions around Azure and AWS and those kind of cloud offerings as well, which we've seen a huge take up in the last the last few months.
Yeah, that's really interesting because we both remember a time when customers were hesitant to say, I don't know about cloud, not sure if I want to move my stuff over. And then it's like, oh, thank God I did, right? And that's the situation they were in. So you kind of touched a second ago about changing conference rooms and expanding their abilities to do video conference and stuff like that. That leads me to kind of what we're looking at for 2021 from a hyper growth mode, right? So in the US, for example, they're predicting 6.9% GDP growth. Next year, 4%. So huge numbers when it comes to that. And I know our industry is only as good as we can provide the product, right? That we can do that. So shortages around chips, around screens, around this kind of thing. How do you see that coming to fruition for you guys who are trying to service your end users?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think likewise, we see that there's a real pent up demand in terms of what's been held back in the lockdown. So we saw huge demand for clients to get people up and running and headsets and all that kind of thing. But some of the bigger projects, some of the bigger infrastructure projects have been put on hold, and we're starting to see those unlock now. So we feel that there's a huge wave of projects which will start to come through in the second half of this year. And we've also seen really big growth in the public sector side as well. So it's been a big growth engine for us right across Europe.
Sure. Globally, government has picked up the baton and ran with it in so many places, whether they wanted to or not. They've kind of been forced into supporting their constituents. So that's huge. When you look at that, any concerns about shortages of laptops or desktops or those kind of equipment?
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw the announcement from Intel yesterday, where they're just about to build 2 massive factories in Arizona.
Great timing, yeah.
But that's going to take time to come online. And until then, what we're doing is we're moving away from some of the build to order type work that we do for customers, because those orders are typically taking longer. So we're moving to off the shelf stock. And we're working really very closely with all of the vendors to make sure that we have access to all of the stock. We're buying the stock when we can to secure it. And we clearly, everybody's feeling that we're selling a lot up front and customers want a lot, but there's definitely an impact from those shortages.
Yeah,
in the very short term, at least. We see that hopefully starting to ease into the summer, but. I think it's important to recognize as well that the IT industry isn't the only industry which is affected by this, and the automobile industry. There's plenty of big industries out there which are affected by this this chip shortage. So
for sure, for sure. Of course, the only industry we care about is the IT industry. So, James, one thing I know about you is your management style gets people to become very loyal to you and Bechtle. You have a great team there that feels like a family. Every time I've had the pleasure of showing up, they welcome you into the family with open arms, and it's great. In that vein, what are you most proud of about the way your team performed in 2020, and how you see that going into next year as well?
Yeah, I think we handled the pandemic as well as we could do. I think it's really important to think about this sometimes and reflect and say, do you know what? None of us have ever, to my knowledge, dealt with a pandemic before,
For sure.
or something of this magnitude. We had, back in our lifetime, because we're a little bit older now than
Careful.
we we've been through the 9/11 thing, and everything was going to collapse and nothing. We've been through the dot-com boom and all that stuff. But this is really different, and I think the impact that it's had on people's overall lives, not just their working lives, and this having to work from home and getting used to that, and then it's clearly had an impact on people as well. From a social perspective, I think initially people were a bit scared, then it was okay, and they started quite enjoying the whole kind of remote working thing. But I think what we've seen is then a bit of a shift again, where people are saying, actually, do you know what? I'm really starting to miss the interaction with my colleagues, the social aspects of when I go to work. And so I think it's going to be important to find the right blend of hybrid as we go back, and also to have the right environments for people to come back into. And as a group, the Bechtle Group has been very good in terms of creating a kind of, for want of a better phrase, probably like a living space as opposed to an office. Working on that again over the last year to make sure that when people come back in, that it's going to be a really nice space to come into, because obviously they're used to being in their houses. So
yeah.
nice is their house, if not nicer. And in the UK, we've got a brand new office. I know in France they're looking at offices. In Germany, they've got new offices and refurbing, and many other countries as well. Because I think that's going to be important, and we have to look after people. It has to be exciting for people to come back in, and I think it will be. We're a community business,
Yeah.
from seeing each other and being with each other, and I think that won't go away. So whereas some tasks can be done efficiently, I'm sure, from home, and we've proven that, and everybody's rallied round to make it happen. I think the sooner we can get back in and be around each other, it's going to help as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think also we need branded sweatpants, so Bechtle sweatpants and things like that for everyone. I was talking to a colleague yesterday, and I have only known them through the pandemic, so I've never met them in person, and I questioned whether or not they had legs. I was like, I've only seen you from the waist up this whole time. So
yeah, I think we're digressing, Emery. We're digressing.
We are. Let me come back to the important things. What brought you and I together, James, so many years ago is this alliance, the fantastic Global IT Alliance. So I want to hit on that a little bit, in that, how has the alliance helped not only through the pandemic, but just with your overall global customers? How do you see it going in our future?
Yeah, so, it was a great time. I think probably 6-7 years ago now, when we got together and we said, we've got these customers, they want to be served in different countries. We're not locally present in those countries. What can we do? And we formed the alliance, and we had the great time where we went and talked to all of the different partners and said, look, we're forming this, and the biggest partners in the globe in terms of the resellers that are on board. And that was fun. And it wasn't only fun, it's now turned into something where actually it's helping on a daily basis. So I think it's unique. It allows us to serve customers in a trusted way in other parts of the globe, and we found that time and time, where now we can offer something maybe in India or in Australia, and we work in collaboration together to make sure that customers are able to be supplied and served in a consistent and a kind of friendly and an efficient way, and it's working very, very well. And actually, do you know what? we're starting to get more and more demand for this, and a rollout of the affiliated services to go with the solutions packages which we're offering. So it's very exciting, very exciting.
For sure, for sure. We've coined the GITA Mojo phrase within the alliance, and just the other day I was on the phone with a very large global customer who recognized that not only are we bringing the power of the top resellers around the world, but we're also bringing the power of their relationships with the vendor community, their relationships with Dell, Apple, Lenovo, Cisco, HP, et cetera, which really brings together a truly powerful offering. So the fact that we could coordinate all that for the customer, with the customer kind of just reaping all the rewards of that coordination, has been very key. I've talked to other partners who see the same value, and customers who see the same value. So it's been great from that perspective. Your global customers today dealing with their own pandemic situation and things like that, has that changed your go-to-market strategy at all when you're pitching to them? You mentioned earlier DaaS, but I'm just wondering from a global perspective, how you're approaching those customers today to say GITA is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think where we've got customers who are global, then it's absolutely the right thing to be doing to talk about the network, and especially as we expand, and we're adding partners to the network to get more coverage around the globe. And I think it gets even more compelling for our customers. And yeah, the DaaS side is one thing. Clearly, we already talked about the move to cloud. And I think people are looking, is it right to be on-prem or in the cloud? And all of our partners around the globe have the capability to have those discussions. That there's the consulting arms to those partners, and also the supply and the service arms. So I think we're extremely well positioned to cope with what's coming up. A lot of customers looking and saying, "Hey, what have I put in the cloud? What can I take back from the cloud now? Because actually, some of this is really expensive, and I think I can manage it better on-prem." So people are looking to move towards more of a kind of assured outcome, I think, and that's what we're working on together with the other global alliance partners as well. So, and I think just reflecting around the partner side of it, it's not just the ability to supply, is it? I mean, you and I, we enjoy the sharing the ideas around what's going on in the technology space. What are the trends that we're seeing? Learning from each other's structures and that kind of thing. And I think so there's a lot more value to the alliance than just the customer piece.
Yeah, for sure. And you hit on a great piece that I often think about secondarily, which should be more top of mind, is the ability to provide services. There have been probably in the past 48 hours, 2 significant hacks, one of them by a manufacturer, another one by a customer. And the fact that we are on the ground in all these countries and can show up in the door of the customer and work with them on a global cybersecurity strategy and a global DaaS strategy, et cetera. I agree with you that that's significant. So James, as we wrap up here, I have a question for you that, I'm really looking for your personal perspective on this, because we've been through, like you said, an unprecedented pandemic. I was just at the grocery store yesterday and still marveled at the fact that everyone's walking around with masks on and everything else, never expecting anything like this. And so as you look at it, what personally are you looking most forward to once the world opens up again? What is on the top of your list to be able to do again?
Mm-hmm. Is this the friendly question?
This is the friendly question. We always have to have a friendly question.
Well, apart from walking around a supermarket without a mask, which would be quite handy, I love sports. So I'm they've closed all the tennis courts down in the UK, and I'm sure many other places. And I'm looking forward to getting back out on the court. And that's a big passion of mine, and trying to keep fit. And also, I like going to the odd concert and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some specific artists that I'd like to go and see, and just the travel. I think we all miss the travel. So I think everybody's going to want to get out on holiday, but we get a lot from those meetups, and especially with the other GITA partners. Why not?
Yes, for sure.
That's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. But think about actually some of the efficiencies which have come out of all this. The that's been an important part as well. I don't think that will be lost when we go back. So I think some things will be done still, via the video, and other things will be saying, actually, do you know what? We need to meet up. We're going to get a lot of value out of meeting up. And I think it's going to be just working out.
Sure. I noticed in your what you're looking most forward to, you didn't mention hugging me, but that's okay. I'll just put it on my list of the thing I'm looking most forward to.
Yeah. You old devil. What about you, Emery? What are you looking forward to?
Goodness. Just, exactly what you said. The Zoom is great. It's convenient. It's wonderful. But truly, there's nothing better than being face to face with someone.
Absolutely.
and having that interaction. And I would say, with customers as well as our partners in the Alliance, and you and I have known each other for years. So just friends, right? Getting together with friends again, whether it's in your own country or globally, it's a big deal. And it's what keeps us together. Well, James, thank you so much for joining me today. This was fantastic. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a wonderful evening there in Chippenham, and we'll talk soon.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the GITA Interviews. To find out more about the Global IT Alliance, please visit www.gita.com or follow us for more great interviews.